Welcome to Educator Summer Reading Support for myON Reader, a personalized reading breakthrough. During today's session, we will cover the summer slide research that is currently available, provide a high-level overview of myON Reader, as well as all of the components to get started, and specifically we will talk about preparing for baseline assessments as well as the Capstone Digital 2012 Summer Reading Olympics. So by the end of our session, you will be able to understand the myON architecture and content, specifically to navigate and use the management system to create and set up classes and groups, as well as to make assignments and monitor student learning progress. You'll also be prepared to use the help and support resources for your summer reading program. During our session, please feel free to pause and play the recording as needed. Stop, rewind, move ahead, skip around, whatever you'll need to go ahead and become familiar with myON and all of the resources that are available. There are several reports that are out that talk about minimizing summer slide. Researchers such as Metametrics or studies done by individuals like Professor Kim out of Harvard University talk about providing students choice and access to text at their reading level. According to a University of Reno, Nevada study, having a 500-book library propels a child 3.2 years on average further in education. So basically, parents or families who have books in the home increase the level of education that their children will attain. This is where myON Reader can help families and educators to provide students access to a variety of texts while building their excitement and love of reading. myON Reader focuses on 3 key elements to be able to create a personalized reading environment for every student. The first one is that of choice. myON Reader makes recommendations to students based on their interests, their initial reading level, and ratings that they give books that they've read, plus providing ongoing benchmarks to monitor their reading progress and continue to identify books that are specific to that individual. Research shows that when students have the opportunity to self-select, motivation will be high and engagement will be maintained. The second component is that of books. Here, myON has a growing pool of online digital books with reading scaffolds such as text highlighting, naturally recorded audio, and a built-in dictionary to support all types of readers. And all of this occurs in a safe social network environment centered around the books. The third component talks specifically about growth, where students can monitor their progress through their own growth chart. And teachers and families can also track that same progress through a personalized dashboard and help customize the experience for students as they build their reading stamina and continue to foster and develop a love of reading. Every single student will have their own homepage that is unique to their interests and their reading level. All students will need is a username and password that is specific to a naming convention provided by the school or district. Students will then be able to come onto myON and have books that are recommended based on their reading ability. They can browse the entire library of online books, or they can read books that teachers have assigned to them through the teacher's list. And of course, students can mark their own books through the My List feature, being able to access the particular titles with just a quick click of a button. There are no boundaries or limits on how many students can access the resources. So basically, these digital books can be accessed by multiple students at the same time, while providing a personalized reading environment for them based on their interest, their ability, and the specific scaffolds that are available. Within myON, students will find a variety of different formats appealing to all different types of readers. There'll be supports such as photographs or pictures that will help to support what the text is saying. There'll be graphic novels and chapter books, as well as other fictional titles that are about 30% of our library. The other 70% is that of nonfiction. And of course, 10% of the library is in Spanish. And we continue to add titles and grow the collection. Capstone is proud of the imprints. You can see that there are a variety of nonfiction imprints as well as fiction imprints. Our Capstone Press publishes high-interest nonfiction for struggling and reluctant readers. Picture Window Books publishes engaging illustrated fiction and nonfiction for on-level readers. Stone Arch Books publishes fiction titles that will engage students. Compass Point publishes middle school nonfiction that's on-level. Heinemann Raintree publishes nonfiction, and all of these titles will correlate closely to the curriculum. We're also proud to have Saddleback and Sylvan Dell as publishing partners that you'll find here within myON Reader. The very first time a student logs into myON, they'll be asked to complete an interest inventory. This is a way to match students with books that they'll want to read. Students indicate how interested they are in a variety of topics, and they'll build their interest by adding to these topics. These interests are also refined over time as students rate books, but the interest inventory is only half of the equation. The second component is that of the placement exam. Students will go ahead in grades 2 and higher and complete the placement exam. This will allow myON to provide a baseline reading level to help recommend titles that are specific to each and every student. All of the myON titles come along with audio, highlighting, and vocabulary supports to help all readers be successful with the text. Every title will have a book navigator to be able to specifically walk the student through reading the book at their own pace. They'll be able to turn audio on or off, as well as highlighting. Of course, teachers and educators have the ability to minimize some of these features or allow students to self-select. After students have finished each of the titles, they then have the opportunity to rate the book and write a short review. Ratings will help myON make better recommendations, and the review is a way for students to connect to what they've just read and make a recommendation to their peers. Educators can turn the review functionality off if they would like. It is about 140 characters and will go directly to the teacher for review. Any reviews that are posted anonymously, creating a safe social environment for students to start to have a community of readers. After reading a book, a student also may have the option to take a book quiz. Each book quiz can be turned on or off by the educator for individuals or the entire group of students. As part of the reading experience, the student will also have the opportunity to go through some benchmark assessments. These will be administered periodically throughout the reading process so that myON can take a quick checkup of where the student is in terms of continuing to grow their reading ability. Students will be able to see their progress through a growth trajectory report at any time. This report is available for families as well as for educators. So what does it mean to go ahead and get started, have everyone access myON? Well, there are a variety of different roles within the system. Each role provides different levels of responsibility and functionality. You can see that the administrator really provides a high-level bird's-eye view of what's going on. The librarian or specialist is an individual who works across the entire school with multiple classrooms. The teacher would be specific to the individual who is assigned to a group of students. And of course, the student has access to myON at their own level. This is the same way that families will also be able to log in and participate over summer reading and throughout the normal school year. To understand more about these roles and other resources that are available, please be sure to take advantage of the Educator portal. This information was sent directly to your implementation site coordinator. There'll be one username and password for your entire school or district to use. That will be different than the credentials you'll need to log into myON. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner there's a green button that says Login. Here's where you'll use your username and password to log into the Educator portal. To get here, all you will need to do is go to www.myon.com and click on the green Services button. Once you arrive here and enter in your username and password, you will be provided with a variety of resources that will help you to have a smooth and easy summer reading program. You'll want to take advantage of the search bar, which is located on the top right side. Here you'll be able to find things such as quick start guides that will be available for administrators, educators, students, and families. You'll also have access to our growing collection of reports, which will provide overviews and samples. And then, of course, additional resources for your summer program would be Family Literacy Tips and Events Guide, as well as the 2012 Summer Reading Olympics. You can type in the entire listing of each of these items or just the beginning, and the search will bring up for you the results. To access myON, everybody will need three key pieces of information. The first is the name of your school, as it has been entered into myON. The second one will be a username, and the third, a password. These are usually case sensitive and follow a naming convention that your school or district is already using. Please check with your implementation lead or site coordinator to find out what your usernames and passwords are. For educators, the first thing you'll see when you log in is that of your dashboard. This is the teacher homepage, and it can look a little bit overwhelming because there are a lot of settings that an educator can control. But these are all broken down into areas to make it easier to understand and to use. The main piece to remember is that ultimately the educator manages what the students see and have access to. We'll walk through each of these so that you have a high-level understanding. For more detailed information, please feel free to use the quick reference cards that are available within the Educator portal specifically for teachers. This will provide you a step-by-step walkthrough of each of the functionality areas and how they will help you in customizing your summer reading program. The first component that we'll want to take a look at together is that of the classes. This is where you'll be able to look at each and every student individually or cumulatively. You'll see that there's high-level information that's provided about your class, such as how many students, the time that they've spent reading, and how many books they've read, and the average Lexile level. You'll also see that this is where those book reviews that students complete will be shared for you to have a go at and look at and talk about and publish if you so desire. When you click on the name of the class, additional information opens up, so we continue to get more specific or granular. Here we can see a snapshot of the class and more specific information, as well as a listing of each and every student. We can see that there is usage information about each and every one of the students within the class, as well as assessment data that can be accessed, such as their initial placement exam, their average score on quizzes, and of course, their current benchmark assessment. Within the class view, you can type in a student name using the filter search up on the top. You can add an additional student, or you have the opportunity to go ahead and look specifically at any of these students in more detail. Once you select a particular student from your class roster, you'll be able to see all of their activity within myON. You'll see a summary as well as a discrete breakdown. Here you can see each and every title that the student has read, the Lexile of that title, when they've read it, how much time it took them to read that book, if they finished it or just opened it, and of course the rating. Looking at the Benchmark tab will provide you quiz scores if those are applicable, as well as ongoing benchmark assessments. The Student Options tab will let you know what group the student is assigned if that applies, and the results of their interest inventory. Groups are another powerful tool within myON. These are not required, but do provide you a way to customize the settings for students in small groups or large groups. A group can contain one student or as many as you would like. This is where you'll go ahead and you can set the options in terms of the scaffolds that are available. You can see you can turn highlighting on or off at the word or sentence level, as well as turn audio on or off. If you choose to have book quizzes on for some students and not others, this is where grouping will be important, and the same will apply for book reviews. Students can easily be moved from one group to another, and of course if you choose to create book sets for students, in other words assigning specific titles, you can do that through grouping options. You can have as many or as few groups as you like, and they can easily have name changes to them. Please know that students never see what group they're in. This is only a function of the Educator dashboard to be able to make it easy for you to manage your literacy program. Just a few moments ago, I mentioned book sets. These are a collection of titles that can be around a particular topic or lexile range. The topic may be associated to something within your curriculum or an interest that a student or group of students might have. Book sets allow you to be able to have students be driven to particular titles. You can use the default book sets that myON provides. You can create your own book sets, and you can also share book sets with fellow educators so that everybody can benefit from the work that the team has done. You can see here that once a book set is created, you have the ability to modify it over time, to share or unshare it, or of course, if it's no longer needed, to delete it. When you create a book set, all you'll need to do after you've provided the title and description is go ahead and select to edit the book set. From here, you can enter in a key search term, which will allow you to then go ahead and find titles that match the book set you're looking to create. Feel free to click on one or more of the titles and add them to the book set. You can see a complete listing of all of the titles when you choose the Remove Books listing, as this will show you every single title. These books can be assigned or unassigned to students as often as you like. Another variation but important component of the myON system is book management. Here you have the ability to minimize access to certain texts. This may be necessary for you based on particular topics or age ranges that you're focused on within your school programs. You can see that a set of books is created similarly to a book set. Only instead of driving students to these particular titles, this will minimize their access. You can choose to put book sets together that will minimize access or block access, if you will, for an entire class, an entire school, or for groups of students. You may need to think about particular titles based on culturally sensitive topics, things that are developmentally inappropriate, or something that you're just not ready for students to view quite yet. Remember that when you create a block book set, this will also minimize the titles that students have access to within myON Reader. Let's talk a little bit about preparing for the baseline assessments. This will be what students will do the very first time they log into myON. You'll recall earlier that I mentioned the first thing students do is complete an interest inventory. Students that are in pre-K through grade 4 will have the opportunity for a different look and feel to their interest inventory, something that's a little bit younger and more developmentally appropriate. You'll also notice that each of the categories that those students will go through have audio support by selecting the radio button. They can hear each category said aloud to them in case they are early or emergent readers. And for those students that are in the upper grade levels, that being grades 5 and higher, they'll use a sliding scale. The more interest they have in a particular topic, the larger the font size will grow. After students go ahead and finish their interest inventory in grades 2 and higher, they'll have the opportunity to go ahead and take a placement exam. This placement exam is 35 questions in total and are arranged by difficulty, with the easiest questions first. Once the student gets 5 wrong in a row, the test is over. There are different tests based on the student grade level. And so if the student doesn't get any answers correct, they'll be placed in as a beginning reader. Similarly, if after 25 minutes the student hasn't finished the assessment, it will stop and time out to minimize the student's frustration and again do an assignment based on what the student has answered. The placement exam is a one-time assessment that students need to complete. Their progress is monitored through an ongoing process using benchmark assessments, which we'll talk about in just a moment. After students have finished their interest inventory and their placement exam in grades 2 or higher, they'll then have access to the student homepage. Here, you'll want to make sure that students are comfortable with the recommended area. This recommended area has targeted texts that are specific to the student. They are 50 lexiles above the student's reading score, as well as 50 lexiles below, often referred to as a lexile range. This provides students with targeted reading practice to build their stamina over time. These titles will also be based on their interests and will continue to be populated dynamically as students interact with the system by providing ratings and completing benchmark assessments. The benchmark assessments will occur after every 5 books or 3 hours of reading, whichever comes first. The benchmark is presented as a closed passage, meaning that the words within the text are blanked out or closed. The student will be able to click on the blank and see 4 possible words to complete the sentence. These words include the correct word as well as 3 other options known as distractors, which are not correct. Immediately after the student completes the assessment, they will get a new lexile score, and the recommendations will be updated based on the range that is tied to the student's performance. At any point in time, a student will be able to check on their progress through the growth trajectory report. For more details on understanding the student experience, please be sure to check out the quick reference guides specifically for the student. As educators, you'll be able to measure a variety of metrics, including lexile growth, time on task, and number of books read. There are a variety of reports that are available, as well as reporting options that are quick and easy to generate. All of them can be printed, and many of them can be exported into a CSV file for additional analytics. The educator reports that you'll want to take a look at include the placement exam to see who has completed the initial assessment, the growth trajectory that will show you the student's potential, time spent reading for each of the students, and being able to do a comparison either at the class or group level, or of course 2 individuals. And then of course there are additional reports that will be able to show you things such as declining lexile scores, where you can quickly see which students are in need of additional assistance as you prepare for the upcoming school year. Capstone is very excited to talk about the Summer Reading Olympics beginning on June 1st and will run through August 15th. We know that if students read somewhere between 5 and 10 books, depending on their age and their ability, it equates to attending a structured summer reading program, and helps to minimize the summer slide. Capstone wants to help your students and make sure the only slide that they're experiencing is the one at the park. So we're encouraging all students to read over the summer and to have a benefit of some great prizes. Every student that reads 10 or more books will receive a Medal of Honor. All the top 100 students will receive a backpack. Third place will receive a bronze medal or an iPod Touch. And the student who reads the second most books will have a Kindle Fire and a silver medal. And of course, the student who receives the gold medal will receive an iPad. Teachers will also have the opportunity to get in on this exciting time. Librarians and staff who help promote the program will have an opportunity to receive an interactive whiteboard courtesy of Polyvision. All of the information will be announced via our Capstone Connect blog, so be sure to sign up and join us over the summer. Many schools have been with myON from last year and have shared some of the wonderful activities that they did to help create successful summer reading programs. They've put together book lists around fun summer titles. Feel free to take a look at topics such as the beach, summer fun, including all the seasons, and maybe taking trips and exploring hobbies. Another idea is to create the opportunity for students to watch classics and read them within myON. Titles could include Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, and many others. And then, of course, as the summer begins to wind down, book sets can be created with back-to-school titles to help students get into that frame of mind. Be sure to visit the Educator portal to provide you with all of the tools and resources that you need to help get started. Remember, you'll use a different username and password to log into the portal than you will to log on as an educator or an administrator in myON. Once you're in the Educator portal, you'll have the ability to access teacher quick reference cards, Blackline Masters, and lesson plans and project-based units to be able to provide fun and exciting activities for engagement and additional exploration and learning. There's also a variety of easy tools that will help make summer reading a cinch. You'll have the ability to customize flyers that can be used to post across your school on your school webpage. You'll have certificates of achievement to be able to share with students and families. You also will have quick login cards that you can use and run off using quick labels that can be shared with moms, dads, families, and students. Be sure to spend some time in the Educator portal seeing what resources are available to you. Also, make sure you come and visit us at thefutureinreading.com, where we continue to share more exciting contests and information about myON and what's happening around the country. During our session, you had the ability to understand the myON architecture and content and how to navigate and use the management system to create and set up classes and groups, make assignments, and monitor student progress, as well as to use the help and support resources for your summer reading program. We'd like to thank you for taking time with us today and wish you happy reading and a wonderful summer.